Welcome to the 16th debate of Hyderabad debating community. A huge round of applause for everyone who has made it today. First, let me start with what we are going to do with our debate today. So to start with, we have two teams with 3 debaters each. And the motion has been already communicated with both the teams. The motion for today's debate is medium of education must be in English in India. Medium of education must be in English in India. Before the debate starts, I'm going to ask the judges to vote their poll against or for the motion today. I have already asked the judges and I have got the response from all the judges. Now I am going to use flip a coin to set the stage and see who is going to be the proposition and opposition for today's debate. Can we have both the leaders from both the teams to take the stage? Who is going to take the call? Paridhi or Karan?
I'll take the call.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, it will be tails.
Heads. Paridhi, you win the you win today's session, today's toss. So will you be choosing your proposition or opposition, or will you take the call for going first or second?
We'll be choosing for the motion, like we will go in proposition.
Okay, Karan. So will you choose when will you go for the call?
We'll be going second.
Okay, sounds good. So the team A will be going for the motion and team B will be going against the motion. Today's motion of the debate is medium of education must be in English in India. Now let me start with what's going to happen in today's debate. We have taken the poll and the coin has been flipped. We have proposition and opposition. We have 3 rounds: introduction, interjection, and conclusion. During the interjection, we will have one member from the proposition team and one member from the opposition team taking the introduction. I am sorry for that. We have 2 team members from both the proposition and opposition. Each will get 3 minutes of time and they will give the introduction for or against according to what they have taken the call today. And once this is done, we will have a 5-minute strategic break between where all the team members are sent to the Zoom breakout room and they will have a discussion. And upon that, we will have the interjection round. And in the interjection round, we have 3 members from the proposition team and 3 members from the opposition team taking the call. Here we have proposition team 1, again the opposition team speaker 1, proposition speaker 2, opposition speaker 2, proposition speaker 3, and the opposition speaker 3 taking the stage, and each will get 3 minutes to give their interjection. And post this round, the members of both the teams will be sent to the breakout room to discuss the arguments for the next round. At the end of 5 minutes, they will be brought back to the main room. Now, after this, we have the conclusion round, which is the 3rd round, and we have 1 member from each team, and they will give their conclusion for their proposition and opposition. And once we have done this, depending on the toss, post the debate, the audience will be allowed to take a maximum of 2 questions to each of the 2 teams, and we will then hear the facts. And after that, the second round of the judges voting will be conducted. The judges will vote again in the favor or against the motion today, and the swing of the votes will determine the result of today's debate. The timing for today's interjection and introduction will be after the 1 minute, the timer will make it green. After the 2 minutes, the background goes yellow, and after the 3 minutes, they will go on mute. And for the conclusion, after the 1 minute, it goes green. For the 2 minutes, it goes yellow. And after 3.5 minutes, they are taken to mute. And after this, depending on the swing, we will see the results.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pawan. In my childhood, I had my education till 7th standard in a village, and the medium of instruction is mother tongue. Till then, everything was seamless. I was able to get the concepts right. I used to be active in my classroom discussions, and I was always in my top five in all the exams. But the fate has planned other things for me. When our family was moved to urban area, and I was shifted to an English medium school, where the medium of instruction is in, of course, is in English. The teaching was excellent, and the students were amazing. They were able to express their learnings in English and clarify their doubts in the same language. However, on the other side, there was me. I was not able to understand what the teacher was saying. I was not able to mingle with my fellow students who were extremely good at speaking language and also in academics. I was always struggle to express things and clarify my doubts. My grades were also dropping drastically, and I was mocked by students for my pathetic language. And I was like an alien in the classroom. Do you understand the kind of stress that a child has gone through in that age? Well, there was me. Because of my poor grades, even my parents were also scolding me. The whole problem was because of my sudden shift from a teaching in mother tongue to teaching in English. Do you understand the stress, my dear friends? That drastic effect has an everlasting impact on me. Even now, every single time I feel I wish I should have studied in English medium school from the beginning, right from the basics, because it won't discriminate anyone like I was once affected, because it gives a level playing field to every child in the classroom. So, my dear friends, I strongly urge, and if I get a chance to choose, I always vote for the medium of instruction should always be in English, because you know why. Over to you, moderator.
Language is key to human identity in the modern world. Well, during the early conquest of India, led by East India Company in 18th and 19th century, British, Danish, German, and American Protestant missionaries had set foot for India to brainwash Indian beliefs. At that time, they realized that schools were both the cause and effect of brainwashing process, and that education and missionary work had to be undertaken side by side. Thus, they had to choose education as a medium for this brainwashing process, with English as a medium for instruction. Thanks to all the colonials, since then, English have been made the medium of instruction in all the branches of learning, has created a permanent bar between highly educated few and uneducated many. It has prevented knowledge from percolating to the masses. The excessive importance given to English language has cast upon the educated class. It has created a bias, a burden which has maintained or maimed them mentally for life and made them strangers in their own motherland. Well, English is not the only official language, my dear friends, in India. It has become the language of the ruling elite. Fluency in English is extremely sought after and brings with the potential for social mobility to the underprivileged sections of the society. But is English medium education is the solution? No, my dear friends. So far, the choice of medium has been determined by the sociological reasons rather than the pedagogical reasons. But now is the time where we as an individual should decide and should understand and honestly communicate with each other that medium of instruction is different from learning as a language per se. Because we believe that medium of instruction in the formative years should be in the mother tongue, as it is scientifically proven to be a better option for all the children. Well, students should also be exposed to the rich literary and cultural heritage of India that exists in many Indian. There are 22 Indian official languages and over 600 non-official ones. Well, we as a team believe that English should not be a medium of instruction in India. Over to you, moderator.
Hello, my dear friends, and a very good evening to all of you. And we are here to talk in the proposition. So, my dear friend actually very well called out about the history points, and I'll call out about the introduction, but I'll probably add some knowledge as well. So, when we say what is education, we know it's training and it's about the learning of the skill set. We not only train our brains with knowledge, we also train our minds and ways of thinking. Learning in English will prepare our brains to process the information in English and reply spontaneously. We learn in a specific language, and then when we actually go to the secondary school or to the higher education, or when we actually apply that knowledge during our jobs and while communicating with the world, we actually process the information in our regional languages. That's what we understood and based on the stats, and then we translate everything. So technically, when we actually work for 8 hours, our brain is actually working for 16 hours, not just 8 hours, because we are translating, we are processing, and then we are replying. Then stats also suggest that children pick up a new language up to the age of 10 very quickly as compared to learning in the secondary school or learning after 10 years or when they become adults. Stats also suggest that English is the most used language on social media and it's the language of computer. And my dear friends, as we all have seen, we are in pandemic. We are in era of social media. We are connecting with the world. We are not just connecting with our own country. We are actually connecting continents and we are connecting people. So, learning in English also prepare ourselves to the changing world and prepare future generations to lead the global market in every area. Why do we? And I'm in favor of preserving, rich culture, rich languages. But is it the only medium? And I'm not suggesting that not to learn local language, as I said, because society, family, and home plays an important role to help kids pick up the regional language. So give it a thought. What are we preparing our children for? Have we thought about it? What do we want our future generation to actually come to the world? Thank you.
Thank you, moderator, and good evening to everyone. I'm very thankful for being allowed to speak against the motion in this vital debate. In my own very words, I would like to express that English language shall be my necessity, but it can never be my liability. In 21st century, English has become the global language, no doubt, but it's totally incorrect to say English is the only language of humans. There are various civilizations, not only countries, who have been anti-English and have become superpowers, whether it is People's Republic of China or Russian Federation. We can simply say English is a necessity, but it shall not be the grassroots for our survival. In context of India, if we just look in the context of educational law, then section 29 section 29 2F of the Right to Education RTE Act 2009 says that the medium of instruction shall be, as far as practicable, be in a child's mother tongue. Also, it is against the Article 29, protection of interest of minorities, which gives all citizens right to conserve their language and prohibits discrimination on the basis of language. It also violates the rights of minorities and scheduled tribes who have been given special protection under the Constitution of India. Article 350A, which facilitates for instruction in mother tongue at primary stage, also provides the statution that it shall be the endeavor of every state and every local authority within the state to provide adequate facilities for instruction in the mother tongue at the primary stage of education to children belonging to the linguistic minority groups. I can give the relevant example of the representative group also present here, that Supreme Court in September 2020 had ruled out the very judgment of the very order of the state government to introduce or to rather force English on primary school admissions, which would do injustice to students who are coming from Telugu, Hindi, Urdu background. And English is not the national language of India. It is the official language of India, just because other languages who are being defined in the constitution are given equal status. So English is no more a special language. It is just a procedural language because we have been a colonized country, and it is time to change the reality and create a new reality for our future generations, because if we do not do that, then our civilization will be under siege.
Well, I must really appreciate the kind of efforts and the arguments my opposition team has put, but let me give me a chance to correct them. There are three things that I would like to put forth in this point in this round. The first thing is, if we want to implement the medium of instruction in our mother tongue, it is tough to implement because now India is growing like anything. Most of the immigrants are within the country are has emerged. For example, if you take a classroom, for example, if most of the school if the classroom has mixed people, one from Chennai, one from Tamil, one from Telugu, one from Hindi, and all those things. So, which language you will choose as a mother tongue? So it will feel the other people as an aliens. So that's why we need one common playing ground which can communicate everyone, which can teach things to everyone. So that is because English. Why English? Because it is the most popular language which is widely used in metropolitan urban areas of communication as well. So the second point I want to put forth is why IT industry is booming in our country. It is just because we have people who are good at excellent in communication language. Even though there are students in rural area who cannot speak English, even though they are willing to pay money, willing to attend the spoken English classes, and they want to leverage the things and want to get livelihood. There is one point that I want to put. Teaching and education is not only for the cultural uplift, it is also able to provide the livelihood of ourselves. So if you learn English, it will definitely provide you livelihood. Finally, the third point I want to put forth is how are we connecting this debate? How am I communicating this debate? Only in English, right? So I don't know Hindi. If you want me to communicate in Hindi or any other my mother tongue, so you don't have to. You will not. I definitely. You will not get these many audience if we conduct in my mother tongue and all those things. So now we are actually in the era of leveraging the things. The one thing that I want to put is we are human beings and we are social animals. The end of the day, we have to communicate. To communicate with a better audience, we need to get one thing which are used by many. So that is of course English. So I want the opposition team that kindly look into these 3 points, and I hopefully you will definitely change your mind at the end of the debate. Thank you.
Before I start interjecting the points which our proponent team has stated, I want to state one thing. Language is never ever a test of intelligence. It is just used for communication. Our proponent one said, if this debate is in Hindi, I would unable to communicate. See, that is a choice. Hyderabad debating community has chosen English as their language. If it is a European debating community, you have to speak in maybe French or Spanish. It depends on the medium. And another example they have given is about IT. Now, IT professional is not the only job in the world. If you want to become a politician, if you want to become an artist or a poet, you should have command in your mother tongue language. So our idea is not to imbibe that mother tongue medium of instruction in mother tongue till degree or engineering. Those students who want to switch can switch, but every child, when they start their education, they should be taught in mother tongue language, because there are 3 identities which every individual will have: personal identity, social identity, cultural identity. Now, by bringing this English as medium of instruction, that cultural identity is at risk. And one of the proponent told that he faced challenges when he switched a medium from Telugu or his mother tongue to English. Now you have to take your challenges and you have to solve them. You cannot escape from them. One example is APJ Abdul Kalam Azad. He, of course, he has started his education in Tamil. Then he learned English language to communicate. And then he communicate very well. That's it. He used that language as communication. He never stopped his science experiment just because he doesn't know English. Another thing is the challenge which our proponent one told is not the challenge of language. It is challenge of cultural imbalance. Why you want to speak in English when you are in train? Why you want to speak in English with your children when you are in a mall? What is the necessity to speak in English with your children or relatives in a family gathering? Does it evolve? Does it show you that you are a well-educated person? There is no necessity. That is a cultural imbalance. That is what is missing. We fail to identify ourselves as cultural people. So this decision of bringing English as a mainstream language medium of instruction from day one of the child in his school will only kill the cultural identity. Cultural identity will imbibe behavior and morals in you. And before I can't see red card, so I'll continue. One of the proponent told education.
And thank you, my dear friends, for listening to us. And it has been wonderful so far. So I've noted a couple of points, and it was interesting to know what our history lies. And like we talked about history, but I would like to call out it's important to understand how it all started, how we started learning English. But the reason behind it was really the reason that we always try and dig down that it was probably because they wanted to divide, or was it to bridge the gap? Maybe they wanted to bridge the gap because we are so rich with culture and languages that there are so many that they wanted to connect and have a common set of language so that people can communicate. At the same time, my friend called out that yes, APJ Abdul Kalam, he learned English and he did very well. How many people do we have like APJ Abdul Kalam? We are huge, huge country and we have so many people out there, but how many people are struggling? So there are good examples, but we want to help the general people. We don't want to help the celebrities or who did really well. Second thing, yes, IT is not the only sector. There are so many other sectors where people can actually do better. For example, IAS exams and other competitive government exams. The language is actually English. In most of the exams, you have to go for IIT, engineering, MBBS, this and that. Everywhere, there are very few exams who would offer you another language where you can actually go and compete. So you have to learn English. Another point is yes, you can learn during early ages and you can start in your mother tongue. You don't have to show off and glorify English language when you go to a mall or when you talk to your friends or family. You can speak to them in your mother tongue, and that's what probably we are proposing. You can speak to them in whatever language you want to learn, one, two, because you can speak as many number of languages with a kid, and kid can actually pick up very fast. We are talking about the medium of education because they struggle when they actually have to implement in the real world. Another one I would like to call out when we talked about Chinese and Russia did really well. But do we know actually in the IT sector, which is huge market, that's why India started booming because India was good in English language and Chinese were not. They were trying to go against English language and they struggled. Another one I would like to call out when we are talking about the history so much, I wanted to bring it to our notice that why do we have so many dropouts when it comes to uni? Batch toppers, when they actually go to uni, their scores drop because they struggle with the language and then they're not able to connect the facts very well as much as other people who are well trained in English could do. That's it from me now. I can see the flag is white, so I'll stop there.
Thank you for allowing me to speak again. Extending my counters to the proponent team members, I would like to state that even in terms of livelihood, the cultural importance of mother languages are there. But it's your mindset that doesn't want to see it. For a quick example, we have acharyas from Uttarakhand to Kerala who are using Sanskrit languages from ages as their livelihood language. Even we have the pastors who are using Malayalam in Kerala churches, and even the Maulvis who are using Urdu, Farsi, Persian, which are not English languages, for their livelihood. So the cultural importance is also there along with the livelihood. Secondly, we can survive without English languages. We can take the quick example of the Hebrew, which has been revived back after 2018. And we have Punjabi language, which is being designated as the official language of the Punjab. Every state has its own official language. So English is not the official language of all the states. That should be clear lawfully. And at last, I would like to state that even in terms of examinations, which is for the employment, we have JEE exam in more than 11 languages now, and NEET from 2021 has been going in 13 languages. So this is the age of multi-language culture, and not the imperialism and colonization of English language. You cannot create an English land, because even the United Kingdom, which is the so-called English language land, has not declared till today the national language, which is the English language officially. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, friends. An interesting debate and a very interesting topic, well debated by both the teams. And I like a great word that KK brought it about our opposition team, saying language is not intelligence, but it's for communication. I completely agree with what you said. What we're trying to say is not about debating whether language called English should exist or not exist. We are making things easier for the studies, for the child to learn from childhood all the way to higher graduation. Today, we are talking about internalization. Do you know that many universities worldwide, in fact, all the universities worldwide have internalization as of higher educations the main priority. Even in universities in China, Japan, and other countries, German, are making their lectures available in English as well. Why? Because English is one language that is cutting across almost many countries across the globe. So my opponent Karan was talking about Britishers came and brainwashed. I like to correct his thought process. In 1835, when the English Education Act was brought in by William Bentinck, it was to bridge the gap between several different languages, around 25 to 30 official languages in India. And we have more than 13,000 dialects. Which country, which superpower does have so many dialects? We have so different dialects. And do you think we can have textbooks and study material printed in every single language? Absolutely not. Even Harsh was bringing in this topic when he said about the constitution that we cannot have it as English. Supreme Court ruled it down. Just to correct, in 2019, AP government did actually put English as a medium of instruction in government schools, which was pushed down by the cabinet, and also High Court turned it down, and the order is still pending in Supreme Court. But why did the government why did the policymakers push English as a medium of instruction in government schools? Because the enrollment rate in government schools was very, very low. Do you know, when a survey was conducted by government in Telangana, right, in May 2020, it shows 96% of parents prefer English medium. 17,85,669 parents across several villages and districts in AP were surveyed, and they all chose medium of instruction as English. Why would they do it? In fact, the percentage of students enrolling into English medium schools is every year increasing. Telangana has 73% of English medium schools, and a number of students enrolled in vernacular languages is consistently decreasing in every state. The reason is parents understand one thing. It has 5 benefits of studying in English. One, common language. One, advantage of higher education. Technology, in fact, favors English. Someone spoke about it.
Well, I believe, there is a situation that which happens when you're not clear with the medium of instruction and you're not clear with the medium of education. Well, I clearly see with my opposition team, like over here. Well, I'll tell you why, because like one of my proposition team has said that English is a language that which is connecting the continents, but how was the connectivity is making like contradict that, because though it is connecting the boundaries, but it is making us to lose our identity. And I'll tell you how it is, personal identity, social identity, and cultural identity, and what you'll do with if you lose your personal identity. And there's also another point where education is training. My dear friends, education is not training, education is actually thinking. And that is what I feel that which is where I see, that which the opposition team is lacking, because education allows you to think. And if the education is in the mother tongue language, that which helps the children to think more better in an efficient manner. Well, the medium of instruction should reflect the strength of the child. And when it does, that child will learn better. And English can't be still, like can't be that medium at the very younger age for the children. Well, that is what happened uh, with one of our opposition teammate. And well, to talk about the research, well, my opposition team was saying English is one such language where the medium of instruction should be in the mother tongue language, which allows every children to start thinking and be educated overall. It's important for a person to be educated rather than a person to speak English proficiently. And yes, there's also some other points that which I wanted to quote. Well, in terms of what my proposition team has said when it comes to this. Yeah, we'll talk about the other example. Well, national education policy in 2020, the government itself has said that every school in India should encourage, or maybe should encourage people to learn in the mother tongue till eighth class, or preferably till fifth class. Well, the other reason that the other point that I wanted to mention over here is the research part. Well, UNESCO itself stated that it is recommended for every children to learn the subjects, or the learning process should be in their own mother tongue, that which helps the children to learn better. And well, that's all from my side. Over to you, moderator.
Okay, welcome back, friends. Nice debate, nice thought process. Appreciate everyone in this. And someone was calling out saying that we didn't understand the debate. I hope the opposition team understands the debate when they call it medium of instruction and medium of education, trying to differentiate between it. Well, medium of education instruction, this is exactly the same that we in our research we could find it. Now, what if I say that you buy an electronic piece, let's say made in China, and everything is written in Chinese, or you buy something in Japan and everything is written in Japanese, not in English? How comfortable are you going to use that product when you have a manual not written in a common language that you as a buyer cannot understand? I wouldn't buy. I wouldn't be comfortable. Even Apple iPhones, which are made in China, has English, many different languages, right? And not just English, but there is what it means. There is a common language that runs across many continents. And that today inevitably is English. Let's accept the fact, because more than 3/4 of the entire world population speak or understand English today. And that's the reason that we are saying, if our children begin studying basics plus the advanced material in English, that is exactly when we become more proficient in our lives. Someone was mentioning about Sanskrit and as an official language, where not IT is the only livelihood. Many other professions are also there. Agreed. Okay, but are we looking at setting ourselves back in the past or looking forward in the future? Today, in the future, that we need to communicate beyond boundaries. India is one country where the states are not divided by a clear demarcation of a river or a mountain or anything. It's demarcated based on language. There should be one thing that connects every Indian. That is language. Some beautifully said, language is not intelligence, but for communication. Yes, it is for communication. If you are communicating efficiently, that's when you can reach to the masses. And that is the reason right from primary all the way to a high secondary, if there's one common language that we all study it, we become more proficient and both the language as well as the subject as well. I'll ask one question to the opposition. Tomorrow, if you have a child and you want to choose a school to put, how do you choose? Now, I have joined a school because it was English medium. I have put my daughter because it is English medium. I am sure 90% or even 100% of the people in this room today will agree with me that they want their children to study in an English medium, but they would still advocate to go and put their other children in government schools where they are taught in local vernacular languages. I already spoke about the challenges in vernacular languages being the technical textbooks. Think about it. If I have to study microbiology in Andhra and the medium is Telugu, do we have enough teachers who can talk microbiology in Telugu or in Urdu? The challenges in number of teachers in vernacular languages, challenge of textbook and material in vernacular languages is definitely there. That's a practical challenge. Today, we have to look at what is the practical challenge, and where we can overcome the practical challenge is to have a common medium, which is already there in place. Why change it? Think about it, my dear opposition team. We are very well with English, and English has to be the foundation to have for our next generation as well. Globalization.
Thank you so much, moderator. I would like to appreciate the views brought in by our proposition team, but everything is revolving around one statement, right? Mother tongue develops a child personal, social, and cultural identity. That is what we are advocating, and these are not my statements or current statements. These are statements from Professor Jim Cummings, who has conducted a research, and the research proves that a child, if learned in mother tongue language initially, it becomes easier for him to think well. And we also advocated education is not about training, it's about thinking. So the same is the case where our professional Jim Cummings also suggests the same thing. And not only that, a child who learns a language, the first language as his mother tongue language, it will be easier for him to learn other languages, second languages, third languages. This is scientifically proven. Opinions and emotions cannot drive us. Only science drives us, because science is something which is related to advancement. Now, to the question which our proposition team member has, when you have a child on which school, it depends on me. It depends whether what I want my child to become. And it definitely changes at one stage, right? But I want my child to learn my mother tongue language. Why? Because I don't want my child to say, alas, daddy, I'm hurt, when he has fallen from the floor. It is irritating for me. So that is what exactly is happening. And it may happen if we leave our mother tongue language for 30 to 40 years. I know many people, you might be knowing some of your relatives who doesn't even know how to speak in Telugu. When I say relatives, children. So we have to stop that. We need to preserve our culture. And by keeping your mother tongue language as a medium of instruction is the solution for it. You can definitely change, switch. For example, you want to, like somebody said, connecting continents. If you want to connect continents, yeah, go learn in Spanish, French. Who is stopping you? But have some knowledge about your mother language as well, because at the end of the day, your cultural identity is what you are. Your personal and social identity will change. Culture will not change. You can learn language, you can learn IAS, but you cannot learn culture. Culture is something which has to be imbibed, evolved, protected. So I rest my case with that, and I would like to hand over the stage to moderator Lahari Bora. Thank you.
Now, as I have mentioned earlier, now is the round for the question and answers. You, the audience, and the judges have an opportunity to pose a question for your favorite team or for your team where you need more answers. You can ask them anything, and we can take only 2 questions per team, and the team will choose who will answer those. Now we have Ajit. Yes, Ajit.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question to the opposition team here. Anybody can answer, of course. The question I have is, in the current technology today, when we have AI, translation services, speech to text, these kind of innovations are available today. How important is language really, in your opinion? Don't you think that element of importance of languages got reduced, and maybe rather accept a particular language, let's say English, and go with that?
Thank you so much for the question. Like you explained, AI and technology, those are the things which come after you complete your formal education, right? It's a choice. That is first thing. Second thing is, most of the scientists, I will say, even if you see the order of inventions, they don't know English. They are French, Spanish, and Chinese scientists. So they think in their mother language. They try to explain the idea. It is the world to understand it and translate it. So if you want to understand something, you may need a language, and not necessarily English. You may need to learn something else as well. But if you want to create something and ideate something, you need talent. And I don't think talent needs a language or specific language. It's about idea and converting your idea into reality. That is what I feel.
Thank you, KK. Now we have Sai Sudan, who has raised his hand. Sai, can you please let me know what team you are
Yes.
going to ask a question and what's your question?
Yes, my question is to the opposition team. I heard an argument where they said that Russia and China are not good in the IT sector, and India is good at it because India has learned English as one of the languages to use. My question is there a research or a fact or an analysis that supports this particular fact, this particular statement given?
Opposition team, could you please let me know who is going to answer this question?
Okay, I'll take that. Yes, there are a couple of links that we can share in terms of how and where Chinese picked up. And when we were explaining, it's a combination of how we actually experience our real world and what's happening. So based on the facts, as you know, Chinese has got simplified Chinese, they have got traditional Chinese, and they have got Mandarin. The written language is comparatively very similar, and when they actually speak, the dialects are different. When we talk about India, the languages are 13,000 plus, and the dialects are also different. And talking about IT in particular, because I run an initiative for last 2.5 years, and there is a initiative called as I Am Remarkable, which is a survey based by Google. A lot of different surveys were conducted, and that was formed by Anna and Anna. There are two ladies who actually started that survey for women specifically in the corporate world, for so many other areas, not just for language. And language was one of the parameters there, where we would, when I took an example of Chinese, because I actually help people from the different parts of the world in corporate area. That's kind of my area along with my work. Wherein I interact with Polish people, I interact with Mexican people, Spanish people, and Chinese people. In most cases, if they have got a team of 200 people, there are only 2 to 5 people who actually communicate and represent very well. So their leaderships, they actually break, or they have a concern where they come to a meeting or they come to different forums. They want to take time. If something can be handled in a meeting, and we have support, because we want to go in the diversity, we want to go with diversity and inclusion. So I don't want to stop them, because they're, like someone said, the talent and skill matters. But something that we can actually resolve and do in quickly, like in a week or 2 days or one day, that sometimes I give them time and we make it happen in like 20 days, 30 days, because they go explain, someone goes and explains them in Chinese, then they come back. And sometimes it's quicker, it cannot happen on the go. So like I said, there are surveys conducted, and language is treated as one of the areas where people, not only when they're not well spoken with English, they actually feel they lose confidence, they feel they are less amongst the crowd than anyone else. And just because, it's not because they're not talented, it's not because they don't have skills, it's because they're not able to represent themselves. And my dear friends, I wish the talent and skill set was just about dance, art, building houses. It's not just about painting something, it's about expressing and presenting it to the world as well. That's my call.
Thank you, Paridhi. Now we have Ram who has raised his hand. Ram, could you please let me know which team you are posing your question and what's your question?
Yeah, thank you, Lahari Bora. So my question is to the proposition team. So why we need English always in code or in software jobs, everywhere where they want to communicate? It was happening previously many years back, and it is still continuing. So in this digital technological world, we can change anything. So even my wife is also working for one of the Dubai-based company as an Android developer, but she's not writing a code in Dubai language, but they were translating into that. So, and countries like Israel, so a small country and which is developing everything on R&D and everything on their own language and translating and then selling those technology and R&D to the other countries like America. So my question here is, so why do we need English always? I don't think it's not required for.
Thank you.
Yeah, one last point I would like to make is Ambedkar made his reservation now. I mean, it is for 30 years and it's been still continued, and there are many people still suffering. So, and English not at all a barrier. It is not at all a kind of a roadblocker for us. And definitely, when at current situation, my daughter is not able to communicate effectively with my mother because she's speaking in English, and my mother could not able to understand. My mother is core Telugu, and she's not able to understand a couple of words as well.
Thank you, Ram. We will just pose the question to the proposition team, and then we'll come back to the same discussion again after our debate. So proposition team, please let me know who will answer this question.
What was the question, Larry? Can you repeat the question? Because
why is it necessary for everything to be in English medium when other countries has it in their languages? Am I correct, Ram?
I can take this, and from the proposition side, if Pawan and Paridhi are fine. Good. Okay. So this we spoke also a little bit, Ram, and see, we are comparing with other countries. Like Israel is a very small country, smaller than probably Telangana, right? But here the challenge in India is different. In India, we are several states, each state with its own language, right? We have officially 25 to 30 languages and more than 13,000 dialects. The bigger challenge is which language do we choose as a common bridge for entire nation? Now, choices like this. Let's say I have Hindi as a national language. There could be some states which are protesting, no, why should Hindi be the oldest language in the world is Tamil, right? Even before Sanskrit, Tamil came. There's Sanskrit influence in different languages across the globe. So someone can say Sanskrit. Why not bridge India completely with Sanskrit? Sanskrit was an ancient language, agreed, but was restricted to upper class Brahmins. And that's why today it is dying. People, even after government funding, it's not reached the common masses. So there should be a language which is easy for everyone to grasp, easy for everyone to learn and imbibe. English is such a language which is very easy. Only 26 alphabets. Tell me any Indian language. I know Tamil. I don't know how many alphabets are there in Telugu, but for Tamil, you know how many alphabets are there? 180. In Hindi, I don't know. If anyone knows Hindi, correct me. There are more than 50 alphabets. So the number of verbs, the letters in every language is different, and it's complex. Today, to bridge the whole purpose of this argument in India, not about any other country, in India, how do we connect the dots for all the states, give equality for every citizen? We need a common language which is simple and easy to people to pick up and learn. There are children who switched, just Pawan is a good example. 7th standard, he switched from Telugu to English. Today he's speaking fluently in English. I'm not, so, but had he spoken from childhood to English, probably he would have been a much better speaker. We don't know. It's on KK beautifully said, you know, it is a challenge. It is a choice. We have to put our effort and overcome the choice. Definitely there is a stress for the child in when they have to switch to a different language. So Ram, the best choice that could connect the entire nation like India was English. And that's exactly what the Britishers did when they started ruling India in 1835. This was the only reason why they brought in the English Act, Education Act, English Education Act in 1835, right? So that's the way that we can bridge the gap. And obviously, people can have bilingual choices, but medium of instruction, better to be in English. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you so much, moderator Lahari. So I was able to note down a couple of facts that were some of them were exactly quoted and some of them were not exactly quoted. So here goes the report. I shall talk about the facts that were used in the right way as they are available online. Uh, Starting with the opposition team, who has quoted Article 29 subclause 2 subclause F of RT, which says that medium of instruction shall, as far as possible, be child's mother tongue, and Article 350A, which says every local authority within the state uh, provide adequate facilities for instruction in mother tongue at primary age of education, and there's a little bit of more to it. So this was used in the right way by the opposition team. And next, same opposition team has used, as said, DE is conducted in level 11 languages and NEET in 13 languages. There were additions, and this makes up the whole of it. 11 and 13 is the right thing. UNESCO gave a couple of statements on mother tongue, use of mother tongue and education of mother tongue at the early age. So they were rightly used. Proposition team uh, uh, said that in 1835, English Education Act by William Bentinck, why it was introduced and what were the uses of it, that was quoted right by the proposition team. However, there are and the opposition again used the fact research by Jim Cummins on the effectiveness of mother tongue education. However, there are some facts that could have been used in a better way, or could have been used completely. So there was a fact from the proposition team which said, uh, become completely fluent, learning in mother language should start at the age of 10. So this is a half fact, I would say. Not exactly half fact. For the lack of a better word, it was not used completely. There is another line which makes it complete. uh, Ability to learn a new language grammatically uh, is strongest until the age of 18, and after which there's a decline in it, and doing it before the age of 10 will help you to be completely fluent on that. So this argument would have added a lot of uh, value to the statement that they made if it was used in a complete sense. And opposition team, okay, there were certain statements that were made initially while the arguments were put forward. For example, cultural imbalance and the Russia and China thing. These are some of the strong statements that I heard from both the teams, but there was not much research or facts that were quoted. Right. So when you present some strong facts, it is better to back it up with relevant facts so that it adds value to your argument. Right. And then from the opposition team, someone said, I'm sure that 90 to 100% in the room would prefer English as their language for their children. But I would not, I will rule out this thing and not take it as a fact, and just as an opinion. Uh, One point that I would like to highlight here and emphasize on is, you might use the fact in the right way or not in the complete sense, but quote the source of your fact. This is what I would say: quote the source from where you have taken, so that not only for me as a fact checker it will be useful, but also it will add value to your integrity and your point, and to the audience, that whatever you're speaking, or you're not making up from out of thin air, but you are actually taking it from a credible source. So that is one point I would like to emphasize on. So with that, I would end my fact checker report, and over to you, moderator. Thank you.
Okay, so drum roll, please. Before we have started our debate, I have taken the poll and the judges has shared their poll as 50-50% for and against the motion. Now, after the debate, there is no change in the poll. I should congratulate both the team members on making this possible for the Hyderabad debaters community for having their first ever tie for the motion is the medium of education should be in English in India. Well, for me, the first experience was in school. We have debating competitions before Independence Day or our Republic Day, and we have these competitions. And we used to have very specific people who would always compete. It was same every time. But growing up, we realized that it is very important to us. And then we realized we don't have a platform to have this opinion shared across. And that is how HTC has come into picture, where we have been conducting so many debates. This is our 16th debate and very successful debates we had in our previous 15 debates. And here HTC is giving us an opportunity, not just putting your opinions forward, but also improving our critical thinking and listening skills and many other things too.
I suppose like there is only until some point you have to try to convince them it's better to cut your losses and like leave it. I mean, you have to accept that some people don't. I mean, even if you present all the facts, they're not willing to accept it. So that's my take, at least.
That's true. Making peace is one of the biggest relief anyone can get. Like, they don't understand, let us leave it here. And how do you do it? Like, if you are put in that situation, how do you do that? Like, okay, now is the time for me to stop. How do you realize that?
I suppose like when you try to be reasonable with them, we see this happening not maybe physically as much, but you see it on things like Twitter all the time. Like people spend all their time trying to convince some random like troll. It may be a troll, like trying to express why they are right. Like I mean, that's what taught me like I was so naive earlier in my life, so about 3 years ago. But this is kind of behavior you see online quite often. They try to take out your make you lose your energy, and sometimes you have to cut your losses. I mean, it only comes with experience, I suppose, like because even there was some point when I didn't know better, but I suppose that's